Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be xhairymuppetx. We're going to be casting a Masters League game. At the moment, down the bottom right side, we have our red Protoss player, ToxicTwinkie, who I believe is in Masters League. And on the top left, we have our blue Zerg player, Gigalastic, who wasn't actually in a league, but I'm guessing he or she is heading straight for Masters League, as they are facing a Masters player, and we'll see exactly how these two players face off in what is bound to be an absolutely epic game. Ah, that's so good. So, what have we got on here so far? We have a very nice proxy pylon going down. Is that the normal pylon icon, or is that only the icon for the fancy pylon? I know the fancy pylon has its own shape, and that is the fancy pylon shape, so it does look like it has its own fancy icon there. It's going down with a gateway, but oh, look at this Overlord coming in, going the scout on the left hand side. Maybe he was planning to see pylons there, maybe he was just going a roundabout way, but he is going to see this gateway, and maybe he should just cancel that gateway at this point, because I mean, it's not going to be worth that much, and you still get like 120, 130 minerals if you cancel it, so I would not be surprised to see that cancelled. But he's going to leave it to keep on building. He's got this spawning pool going down. If this guy chrono boosts out a zealot, he might be able to do some damage. So we'll see exactly what he does. There we go, there's a zealot coming out. Of course, if the Zerg manages to get this up in time, manages to get some lings and maybe a spine crawler or something, and pushes this zealot off, then this is going to be huge, because that gateway and that pylon is just going to be wasted, and he can't afford right now to build another gateway back at his main base, because he's constantly popping out zealots. He might be able to in a sec. There we go, there's one spine crawler going down. These drones, they should probably start running away. He's got to be microing them to try and save them. But yeah, he is doing half a good job, but I would really just run those guys away, because you're just losing so many drones if you do that. However, these lings, they are going to go in, and they are going to do it. The zealot gets in a nice position where he the lings can't all attack him at the same point, so that'll be good. Now these drones have to try and... There we go. So that spine crawler with his massive amount of range just managed to get it in there. He's got to cancel the second spine crawler. Meanwhile, the Protoss player is just going to be very persistent here. He's still chrono boosting out zealots, and he's moving into an expansion here as well. Of course, the Zerg knows all about that, because he is perching his Overlord right on top of the Nexus. So he's perfectly aware what's going on, and this isn't a bad play by the Protoss player. He gets a couple of cannons up here, and he should be fine to kind of defend this. And you can see the brilliant placement by the zealots there, but they are going to have to watch these lings go by. And of course, there's not much defending the Protoss base here. However, these cannons are going to go up. They should defect the lings. If they had speed, they could just run straight past and start attacking the probes, but that's not going to happen. Another spine crawler is actually moved this one out to the front there. So it's a good move by the Zerg player. These zealots are going to have to back off. Whole bunch more lings running around. These guys meanwhile try and get in. He gets this gateway down, so that's going to completely block off this entrance. This may be a little bit of a gap there they can run through, but single file and without speed, they're just it's not going to be fun. And we've got just enough lings here. No, maybe not. They're going to not do that well against the zealots, but he's got to make sure not to lose all his lings. He's got to make sure that he's in a position to harass the zealots if they try and run around this spine crawler and get to the backside. But he is going to go roaches now, and roaches are going to have no problems at all dealing with the zealots. He's continuing to produce zealots. He's really trying to keep this pressure up, and you can see he's got his nexus up now, his second nexus, so he's chrono boosting out the probes. I would not be surprised to see. Yeah, there we go, there's the chrono on that nexus. So he's really going for a hard economy here. 26 over 15. The Zerg has been building a lot of lings to try and push this out, and he's got the 3 zealots there, so these Lings are going to have a lot of trouble here, and the Protoss player is in a very, very good position, because he's basically stopping this expansion, and he's forcing the Zerg player to build up this fairly large army with just 3 zealots, and the positioning here is just perfect. So you can see he's got them on hold position, they're not moving out. And here we go, he's going to push out with a spine crawler, he's going to get him out of this position, but he can just move down the bottom. I guess then the Queen can start hitting him, but this is not going to last very long. These guys are going to have to get out of there. They've made the advantage possible, they've done a great job, but I think this bust is going to finish out and the Zerg is going to get his expansion. So see, there we go, there's the move, and he's stopping down the bottom, he's got a Zealot as backup, and he's just got to move down here, and the Protoss has no choice at this point, he's just got to run out, and he's just got to let the Zerg take this expansion. So we'll see. There we go. He's going to move back. The Lings come out. I don't know what chance these Zealots have anymore. They got the full surround, and they're going to take out most of the Zealots, but there's still enough left. Not enough left to do a block though, so I think this contain is pretty much going to be over. However, the Protoss is well set up here. He's got, is that 3 gateways? He's got the 4th here, but this one is going to die before too long. And these Zealots, really, they're not going to be able to survive attacking this spine crawler. So that's fine. I guess these Zealots are just going to try and kill off the drone before it builds a hatchery, but these Lings get a nice distract in, getting the Zealots out of position, so they can't stop this hatchery going down. They're all going to die. These roaches are just going to steal the deal, and this building is just going to go down now, so that's fine. He's moving another Zealot down. I think that was just on scouting duty, so he might... No, that's fine. He's just going to come here, maybe try and stop the hatchery from going out there, but these forces can take that Zealot out very easily once he destroys this worker. And he must know the Zealot's out there. The Zealot, is he going to block this hatchery? Is he going to see it? No, the worker sees it, runs away. These guys are going to take the Zealot out, so that's fine. Meanwhile, the Protoss player is going for a lot more Stalker-based forces, and he is getting out his 3rd base. He really needs to break this down. You can see him going off to do that now. So the Protoss, if we look at the income, he's still in the ahead, probably about 16 workers, so he's been macroing up his economy very hard this time, and the Zerg player is going to have to play catch up. He's going to try and run some Lings in here, but that is not going to help him out. He's got 2 cannons and this little gap there, so I don't think these Lings are going to do anything. Maybe they can skip by, do some worker harass, but with the amount of Stalkers over there, I don't think there's going to be much that's going to happen. Here we come. So the Stalkers move back up. He had a bit of a chance there, but now even that's gone, so all of those Lings are going to die if they run in there now. He could perhaps go up there and do some damage, but not even now. So what have we got coming up? We've got 3 more Stargates. Sorry, no, 1 more Stargate, 3 more gateways, and a robo facility. So it's all going to be looking very, very good for the Protoss player. Meanwhile, the Zerg player, this is Roach Speed, Muscular. So that's Hydra Speed, and I think this is Roach Speed. There we go. So he is going to go for a Roach Hydra army, I'd expect. That poor Overseer is just taken out at the very last second. He might have made it across. He might have seen the Stargate and the 2nd Robo. And that could have helped him out a lot with what the Protoss is going for. So he's got to be expecting, with double Robo against Zerg, you've got to be expecting Colossus at that point. Immortals, really not... They're good against roaches, but they're not that much good against anything else. So you've got to be expecting Colossus at that point. And then, of course, he can take the awesome approach of going for the Spire, getting at the Corruptors. If he doesn't know about the Colossus, he really, really, really is going to be behind, because by the time he sees a few Colossus around on the map, he's got to build a Spire, and then he's got to get the bloody Corruptors out. So that takes quite a long time to get that Spire out. It's a very slow building to build. So really, the earlier he can find out that the Colossus are coming out into this game, the better off he'll be. You're going to have 1 Stalker coming out, attacking this Hydra. The Hydra is at 0-0. Stalker, I believe, was 1-0. So, upgrades, he's just going for the weapons, he's going for number 2 now. The Zerg going for equal, 1-1 on his Roach Hydra army. It's 2 Colossus coming out and 1 Phoenix, probably just for scouting. But if we have a look at the army, Protoss is ahead, but only marginally ahead. So the Zerg player is doing a good job at getting out some forces. Lings and Hydras, so he's not doing too bad, the army, but I think he's severely out-teched at the moment. The tech that the Protoss player is bringing is just going to wipe these forces out, and he really needs to get into the higher tech, really get the get the spies and get the corruptors going on. So here we go, there's a bunch of Phoenix come around, going to try and snipe off some queens and snipe off some workers. There we go, snipes that queen up, but the Hydras are going to run in and these Phoenix will have to make a break for it. So they got a bit of scouting, they got a couple of hits off on the queen, but with this many Hydras pumping out for the Zerg player, Phoenix are fairly useless at this point, except for a bit of scouting. If we have a look at the army though, he's already got 2 Colossus, he's building 2 more, he's going to have a very nice amount of Stalkers out in the front, and he is going for a bit more Zealots to back him up, and High Templar. So against this Zerg army, he's going to have a lot of problems. Now, the Zerg counter to High Templars, that's an interesting one, because there's no real counter to High Templars that much. I mean, yeah, I don't know what the good counter to High Templars for the Zerg is. They can't just run in, because they just get stormed. Of course, the Zerg always will try and flank from multiple directions, which makes it a bit hard for Storm to come down. And of course, if they get a couple of Lings or something, on a flank and attack these guys, force them to use the Storm on the Lings, make it a choice between storming the Lings or getting killed before the main army comes into reach, then that will be fairly good. But unfortunately, if the Lings come in early enough to kill the High Templars before they're in range of the Roaches and Hydras, then there's a very strong possibility that the Colossus will just wipe out the Lings because they won't have anything else to attack. So it's very tricky, and I honestly cannot think of the best way for the Zerg to wipe out these High Templars. I guess if the Zerg has enough macro, he's getting his 4th base now, but it's I'd like to have seen it a little bit earlier. But yeah, really, I guess the Zerg's advantage is that they could just build up so fast that the storms, I mean, it's not like storming a marine army where they're so closely bunched up and stuff like that, or a muta army where they're so closely bunched up. These guys, they can't really get that bunched up, and half the army is Roaches. Roaches can probably take a full 2 storms and still keep on going. So, I mean, but of course, the Colossus are going to be the very big threat here, and he is getting his Spire coming up now. So I can only guess that he has seen the Colossus coming up. He did get an Overseer in here before, so I'm sure he has seen it. And if not, these Lings will definitely see it now, so we can expect to see a whole bunch of Corruptors coming out onto the map, because Corruptors are really the only thing in the Zerg army that can really hit the Colossus and do a massive amount of damage to him. You can sort of try and sneak Roaches in to hit the Colossus from the side, whittle them down bit by bit, but it's really doesn't make that much sense to use Roaches against Colossus, because with this many Colossus, the Roaches die just as easy as the Hydras are. So you can see he's pushing out the Corruptor force. He's going to go in there, he's going to see this army, he's going to see the amount of Colossus, and he's like, my god, I need Corruptors. I need so many Corruptors, I need them all now, right the hell now. So he's going to get his Corruptor army. Meanwhile, he's going to push in with these guys. He knows he does not have enough Corruptors to face this army. He knows they will steamroll him. So he's going to push in, and he's going to do an attack here, and he's going to force the Protoss army to move back. You see, they're not far enough into the base where they can say, alright, I'm going to go for a base race, because they haven't even gotten to the base yet. So it might be a good idea for him to push back. But he is going to continue going forward. He might at least try and take this hatchery out before he moves back. However, these Zerg forces without a bunch of Colossus to attack them, they are going to do a really heavy amount of damage. You can see he's still going to move some of his forces back here. He's going to leave just enough to take this base out, and the rest of them are going to start moving back. He's probably going to reinforce them with other forces. You can see him putting down stalkers everywhere. These guys are attacking production buildings, and that's alright. It's better that he attacks production buildings as opposed to actually attacking units. Attacking units would be bad at this point, but he's going to get these forces here. 6 Colossus in this group, so that's fine. He's moved a couple over there, did he? No, they're all coming back through here. So this is going to be the end of this Zerg invasion. Now he took out this base, and he did take out a lot of workers there, managed to get these Hydras down. I think they won the exchange with a bunch of Stalkers that were in there. So that's fine. I think he's got enough to push off here. Roaches can try and come in, but there's not going to work here. We've got this force coming down with 2 Colossus, but the Ultras have come out. These Stalkers are all going to get wiped out, and the Corruptors coming out now. This force is going to get wiped out. So we're pretty much back in a stalemate. I would say that the Zerg did much more economic damage there. Let's see, there's still quite a lot of probes here on this one mineral patch, so maybe he moved them back in from the other base. That's fine. Look at this Phoenix just still going on. I'm not sure if they actually killed all the Corruptors. I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought that Corruptors are fairly good against these guys, but you can see almost all the Corruptors are dead, so I can only say that it might have got off some really nice storms, or those Stalkers just really outperformed themselves, taking out all the Corruptors. So at least that was the good part about sending this army in. He took out a lot of Corruptors. The Zerg will have to rebuild them up, and the Protoss army still has these 6 Colossus. He's definitely gone down a lot in his basic ground army, and he's gone down a lot in his production as well. If you have a look at the structures, he has 6 Stargates, so it's not Stargates, Warp Gates, so he's started building up again in this base, so he won't be that far behind. However, the Zerg, really good play here. He's sending out these Lings and these Ultras, going for the economic damage. He knows he's got the Protoss player on the economic back foot. He's going to continue that economic pressure, and you can see the Protoss is down 22 over the 47 from the Zerg player. And the Zerg player, I think he lost this. No, he didn't. Never had that base, but he's lost this base. He's still, however, he's saved this. He lost basically no workers from the Protoss player, and meanwhile the Protoss player lost quite a bit. So this Protoss is in quite a bit of trouble economically. He needs to get probes constantly pushing out, and give him another few minutes and he'll be back in there. But you can see this mineral count is just absolutely abysmal, so he's got to hold off these Zerg forces with the small amount of forces he has. He needs to get his workers up so he can get back in the game, and right now he really doesn't have the army to defend. So once these Ultras come out, I mean, Colossus are not good at all against Ultras, so he doesn't even need Corruptors at this point. He just needs enough Ultras to go in there and smack these guys around. And there's not that many Zealots and Stalkers to provide a sort of buffer against the Ultralists, so these Colossus are going to take a lot of hits. He does have 1 Archon, and Archons are not bad at Ultralists. They're nice and beefy, and they do a lot of biological damage, so they're very good against Ultras. It's probably, I reckon an Archon might beat an Ultra one-on-one in a fight, but it would be a very close match. Of course, these guys have a massive amount of armor and massive damage, so maybe the Archon would win, but it's hard to be sure. He's going to take this base out, and I think if this base goes down at this point, then it's, yeah, I don't think the Protoss is going to win this game at this stage. He may turn around, he may very well do so, but wow, did you see there's like 8 Lings just got taken out in one burst? That was impressive. But yeah, what's even more impressive is the Zerg just coming in, pounding those bases. If he takes this base out, then it's all over. I mean, it almost is all over anyway, because I mean the Protoss is on 2 bases, and the Zerg is on 2 bases as well. I mean, look at it, he's pushing back. I'll give him this, he's pushing back on the Eco quite heavily. The Zerg is going to get up this base, and he's running low on minerals as well. But if we have a look at the army tab, the Zerg is ahead. He has used his extra economy to a great advantage, and you can see him. He's going to push in here, and he's going to go in here. I mean, there's a lot of production buildings, and they are going to stop the... There we go, some Dark Templars here, but these Dark Templars, they're just going to do so little damage to the Ultralists. The Ultralists are just like, whatever, I don't care. You know, you can hit me all you want, it's not going to matter. That's fine, these guys are going to get chased away. It's very, very smart play by the Zerg there. They went in there, they got some workers. He didn't have enough to take them out, so he's not going to press the advantage, try and take out this army. He's focusing on economic damage here, and he's doing a very good job. And he's just got to whittle down this economic force of the Zerg player and not engage that army, because that amount of Colossus is still pretty scary. The Archons coming out now are still pretty scary, and he does not want to run his Ultralisk army into this group of Archons and Colossus, because he will start losing them. And the Void Rays are just going to add insult to injury, so just a bit of economic damage here and there, and keep it going. And here we go, these Dark Templars decide to make themselves useful, going into this base, taking out some stuff. And he's going to go in there. I don't know what he's waiting for. He does have the Spore Crawler. And there he goes, he takes it out. And here we go, some more Dark Templars over there. Looks like they took out a lot of workers there. And my god, he's evened it up quite well, those Dark Templar attacks. Really, really nice. There is another Dark Templar come in. It looks like they just ran across the map to get in here. And here we go, some Overseers coming around. Where's that Dark Templar gone? It's around here somewhere. But he does have Spore Crawlers at all bases. He needs to get one up here fairly soon. Maybe a couple of Spore Spine combinations to ward those guys off. But that was a very good move by the Protoss player. But if you have a look at his production, my god, he just built like 20 harvesters in like a minute or something like that. That's just completely nuts. So he spent all those minerals. 20 harvesters is about 1,000 minerals. He spent them all on harvesters, and he's back to a commanding position. But you can see the Protoss player with 4 Nexi, and he's chrono boosting all of them to get workers out. So he knows he's behind. He's really working on his income, and he's doing 4 at a time. So he's getting back. He's got 3 bases. The Zerg has 3 bases. The Zerg needs a 4th. He's got a did have a slightly better army, but the Protoss is pushing back. He's getting his forces back. However, the Zerg army is mainly Ultralists, and the Protoss army is, you know, it's haphazard at best. If it was a one-on-one against these Ultras, I don't think the Protoss army could win. Colossus are not that good against Ultras. Archons are, you know, they're pretty good. Void Rays are pretty good with their burst, which increases armor damage. But yeah, it's going to be a hard sell. There we go. You see that Dark Templars? It's just absolutely got obliterated. He got hit by about 5 Ultras at once, and I don't think there would have even been anything left over from that guy. I mean, you can get mutilated, you can get torn apart. That guy just got completely obliterated. There was absolutely nothing left after that, except for a few tattered rags maybe. But we've got a nice little Hydralisk hit squad. They should have the range to take down these rocks, so that's good for them. What have we got here? We've got a Mutaforce coming on. Mutaforce. So this is a good idea. This is going to work very well against these existing... Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. The Archons are going to absolutely annihilate these Mutalisk forces. But they can only annihilate them if they can catch them. And the Mutalisks are very, very fast, whereas the Ultralisks are not fast in the slightest. So what are these guys? 2.81. Yeah, so they're not going to be able to catch them. But Phoenix pretty good against Mutas as well. Phoenix, what do they do? Extra light damage or something like that? Yes, do it quite a bit of light damage. So they should be able to go in, start whittling down these Mutalisks, and these Mutalisks have got to get out of there. They can't stop to harass anymore. Or they can, but they're going to lose more Mutas. So they really got to get out of there. This guy has excellent Phoenix control so far. He's trying to keep him just out of distance, but still in range to attack. The Phoenix does have, I'm getting so much lag here, range of 5 versus the Mutalisks range of 3 here. So that really is a horrible range by the Mutalisk, but he slipped his control a little bit. The Mutalisks are going to survive. Here comes 3 more Phoenix. That should be more than enough to take out this Mutaforce along with this Stalker. So that Muta harass is going to go down, but he really did quite a lot of economic damage there. But took out maybe 20 harvesters or so. He's lost a bit of workers there on the Zerg side. Was there maybe a Dark Templar harass, which I missed? May very well have been. I'm not sure, but regardless, he is switching over to Swarm Host now, so he's really taking over to pretty much every unit in the game. He hasn't gone for Broodlord yet, but I would not be surprised to see him try and do that. Meanwhile, here we go. Locust coming out, going to try and do some damage. Of course, the Colossus obliterate him so fast, but that is going to slow these guys down quite a bit. And this is quite a large amount of Swarm Hosts. He does not want to engage the Ultralisk while the Locusts are heading towards him. So that's the thing. If these guys are engaging while the Ultras come in, the Ultralisks are going to get so many free hits, and that could be just enough to do what he needs. So the Protoss doesn't like that action right now. He's going to back off. He's still on 3 bases. The Zerg is getting his 3rd base up. I think the Protoss is a bit in the lead. Well, he's a bit in the lead in terms of bases. He's not a bit in the lead in terms of how many he's harvesting. But there we go. So these guys are going to get taken out. They're just a bit of a scouting force. I guess maybe they will go to attack some harvesters and stuff like that. But he does have the Spore Spine combination at all of his bases now, so that should be fine. These guys are going to come in. Got to just defend these guys. So very nice call on the Protoss player's part to defend this base. Of course, this Zerg player is just going to sit back, let the Spore Host keep the Protoss engaged. Not an excellent place to send the Ultras in. It's a little bit not as wide as he could. It's a bit hard to do a flank with all these buildings back here. So the Ultras, you're really not going to get a very good surround here. But I would not be surprised to see him try and do a double-pronged attack. Of course, if he splits up his forces, I think the Protoss army could wipe out half of it, but Protoss is going to move across. He's switching back into center position just to be ready in case the Zerg comes over here. And it is looking like the Zerg is going to come over there. Switching up the Swarm Host. I'd like to see him shoot the Swarm Host up here while the Ultras go in here and start doing some damage. But of course, the problem with that is once the Ultras go through here, it's kind of a death shoot trying to get back out again. That's just going to be horrible. The Ultras aren't going to make their move in here. Going to try and do some damage. They're taking out whatever Stalkers are in there. They're getting into the Colossus ball. This is what they need to do. Right into the Colossus, and the Mothership Core sucks them back out, transports them away. Beautiful move by the Protoss player. You can see he saved about 4 Colossus there. Unfortunately now, he does not have the forces to go in and defend this base. This base has about 18 workers there. That's a good amount of his harvester count, and they're all going to die at this point. He does have some Void Rays coming in. Going to do a lot of damage. I really would have liked to see the Ultralisk take out those workers. I really think it's a mistake. He could have sacrificed a couple of them, but of course the Void Rays constantly harassing. Mutas come out to find themselves facing a group of Phoenix, and they're just like, oh no, not this shit again. Didn't we do this already? So the Phoenix are going to back off. The Mutas are going to back off, and it looks like we may have some sort of transition into air versus air sort of forces. We've got a whole bunch of Mutas coming out for the Zerg force. His economy is looking pretty good. Protoss player building Void Rays, and of course Void Rays versus Mutas. The Mutas will win every single time. So we'll see if he keeps pushing these guys up with Phoenix to support their forces. Phoenix, of course, very good against Mutas. And he's got some Stalkers there as well. Tell me these guys have Blink. Maybe not, but he's going to push these guys out. Mutas might jump back, attack the Phoenix. There we go. But the Phoenix more than capable of just running back. And we do have another attack coming up here. Swarm Host going in here. These workers are somewhat protected by the sheer amount of production buildings around there. Protoss just going around, constantly trying to find where the Zerg army is. Constantly trying to defend against all these attacks. Swarm Host managing to take out some workers, but they're getting through that bottleneck, which is a bit of a pain. The Zergers are going to continue attack, but now the Colossus are up here. These Swarm Host effectiveness have been brought down, and this is just fantastic work there. You got the Overseer in there, not the Overseer, the Observer. He saw those Swarm Hosts just picking them up, but the Mutalisks go in there. Brilliant attack. We have a look at the economy tab. is managing to keep this worker count down. It was getting a bit scary again for the Protoss player, but the Zerg is knocking these guys down, and these Phoenix are just outnumbered there. They don't know what's hit them. The Protoss force, I don't know if he's going to move in there, but the Archons, he's still got 2 Archons left. So if he gets up nice and close, I think he should be able to push these mutas away. He does push them away. However, the Protoss now down to 2 bases. The Zerg has got this base up. He's still technically on 3, but these guys are rapidly running out of minerals. He needs to get another base fairly soon, otherwise he's going to run out of mining. Mutas come in. They're just going to be attacking some pylons, because why the hell not? Maybe you can pull the army back here. If he pulls the army all the way back to this base, these guys can maybe go into this base again, but they're not in a good position to do it at this point. He hasn't got this army in a good position, and I would have liked to see this. These guys got to run away. This is just too big an army for them to handle, so they're going to get out of there. This force, meanwhile, just choosing to chill out in the middle, and I believe the Zerg player is pulling into the lead once again. He's got the base advantage, maybe? I'm not so sure. The Protoss technically does have this base as well, so that counts as his 3rd base. He's doing quite a bit of mining there. And the Zerg player did lose a bit of workers. I'm guessing there was some more DT action that I probably missed. But anyway, that's probably why that army wasn't moving out. It's so bloody hard to pick out the goddamn DTs. They're so tiny. But anyway, got a bit of action there. This Protoss army is getting a bit scary, but you look at the resources that the Zerg player has. He can afford to build up huge armies, and the Protoss just can't anymore. His production capability from his income is just gone down quite a bit. And these Phoenix, they're going to see the mutas. Did they see him? Oh, they're going to see him now. And that is, I think that's more than enough Phoenix to take out these mutas. Maybe that actually is quite a large flock of mutas. 0-0 upgrades for each of these sides. If these Phoenix are controlled correctly, they will be able to take out the mutas, but they keep flying through the muta force, and that is not what they need to do. And if he keeps doing that, these mutas are going to get taken out. But of course he does have swarm hosts attacking these guys as well, so that is going to reduce the amount of control that he can spend on these Phoenix. Running through again, but it looks like the Phoenix will be able to take out this muta force. Meanwhile, this Protoss army moving in, but it's like moving, it's like on the beach trying to move against the waves. That's what it's like to move in on a force which has a fairly large amount of swarm hosts. It's just moving against the wave. They don't stop you, but they slow you down, and they make things a pain in the ass. And the Ultras, using the advantage of the Locust there, pushing through the Stalker army, and this time they managed to get all of the Colossus. There was no Mothership Core to save them then, and I think this is the end of the game for the Protoss player. He just lost his army there, and he's got nothing left to push the Ultras back. And with these Hydras and these Roaches to back up, I think we can expect to see the GG here at any minute. The Phoenix going to come in, see what they can do, but there's really no hope anymore for the Protoss player in this game. This base is going to go down, the next base is going to go down, and there is that, well, that was the GG in a way from the Protoss player. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. It's an absolutely fantastic game. The High Templar, we didn't really see much from them, I guess. He didn't really get that many storms off, I don't think. He basically just started morphing them into Archons after not too long. And the Archons really never got to face the Ultralists too much. I think they just got owned by Locusts for the most part. So they really didn't do that much. But the Zerg, yeah, I mean, the Zerg... Really, the Zerg did very nice harassment with the mutas and stuff like that. The Protoss looked like he was getting back into the game after pushing him with his army and taking out this base, but the Zerg tech switched over to mutas, did some very nice harass with the mutas. In the end, the mutas started getting wiped out by Mass Phoenix, but he managed to keep his economy going. In spite of the constant DT harass, he managed to keep his economy going, and he managed to do that nice muta harass, and meanwhile keep the army engaged across the map, the constant to and fro of the Zerg player, keeping the Protoss constantly on his toes, and he managed to eke out, managed to eke out an economic victory after 45 minutes of play. And finally the Protoss just did not have anything left, did not have any money left to build the stuff that he needed, and he just got rolled over at the end. So very nice play from our Zerg player, and congratulations to both players for a very well played game. This has been Hairy Muppet. Thank you very much for watching, you guys.